Aloha and good morning to you. Aloha kakahiaka. I'm still kind of waking up. I don't know if you guys noticed, but my hair's been getting shorter and shorter. Well, it's kind of growing out now. And that's because when Uncle Hank died, I shaved my head. I was grieving pretty hard, and it still am. And you can find out about our Uncle Hank. He has a YouTube channel here called Uncle Hank Question Everything. And he's got a playlist on there, but you can just Google Uncle Hank Public Law 103-150. Let's keep his spirit going, because he very much wanted us all to continue the work he'd been doing. Aloha kakahiaka to you. Aloha and good morning. I'm Kai, and this is my YouTube channel. Where's your aloha? Thanks so much. It's growing slowly. So I deeply appreciate all of you guys that are sharing the video and liking it and subscribing to my channel. As I've said, this is kind of my soft opening, going back to broadcasting Songs of Sovereignty. Anyway, it was kind of a long night, full moon, dogs were going off and howling. And so I was anxious to get up this morning, get all my chores done so I could sit with you this morning and talk about our rights to self-determination. I've been so discouraged, you guys. I stopped broadcasting over a year ago. I just became really depressed and discouraged. And I know a lot of us did. COVID had a lot to do with it. The shutdowns, the lockdowns, everything. But I just really felt like we were running around in circles. We're fighting these battles and we're still losing. And I just, to quote a dear friend, I don't want to lose anymore. It's so depressing that we keep losing. Seems like we get a few feet forward and then bam, we hit the wall. And mahalo to all our kia'i that are out there pounding it and, fighting all these battles against the American courts where we're just never gonna win. That's why when I found this book, Our Rights to Self-Determination by Ann Kelly, you can get this book at kuleanaworks.com. I had to have it. And once I got it, I just couldn't stop reading it. I just really think that this should be taught in all the schools. And it's a blueprint. It's a manifesto. We'll talk about that word later on in the series, because that's a whole other black hole, wormhole. One of the cool surprises about this book is when you get it, there's a beautiful little bookmark in it of our queen and her famous quote, "You must never cease to act because you fear you may fail." Mahalo to all of you that are not afraid to act, that keep the fight going, the fight for peace and righteousness here in Hawaii. So anyway, if you like my channel, please like, subscribe, and share it. And again, kuleanaworks.com. I don't even know if I mentioned that. I was up late planting in the full moon. It was so gorgeous last night. Anywho's, I'm on the third little chapter that on page 16, A Queen, Her People, and White Supremacy. Liliuokalani was an extraordinary woman, politically savvy enough not to validate the gang of white men who co-engineered the plot against the kingdom. She was also an accomplished poet and musician. She played piano, guitar, and ukulele, but loved the zither and was expert at sight reading. Over the course of her life, she composed more than 150 songs, among them the most famous song, Aloha Oi. That's also a deep dive we could do, her music. Wow. In 1893, Hawaii was the country of the Hawaiian people, though for more than a century, immigrants had been importing diseases that wiped out 95% of the indigenous population and the influence of Christianity and capitalism were profound, Hawaii still belonged to the Hawaiians. Olelo Makuahine, mother language, was the language on the street, in business, government, and schools. And more than 90% of indigenous Hawaiians were literate in the Western sense, able to read and write in our native tongue. At that time, Hawaiians could still pass on unbroken ancestral knowledge between generations in our original language, which is a vital component to the survival of indigenous ways of thinking and knowing. Like her brother and other ali'i, Liliuokalani was also fluent in English and traveled extensively. When she was crown princess, she attended Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee and dined at the White House with President Cleveland during his first administration. A beautiful woman, Lili'u as Hawaiians fondly refer to her, had dark skin, distinctly indigenous features, a striking curvaceous figure, and was known for carrying herself with the decorum expected of royalty. Every portrait of her brings to mind words as elegant, dignified, and confident. Whether photographed on the throne at Iolani Palace, bejeweled and wearing a formal gown, or perched on a chair in front of her thatched roof, Waikiki Beach Hale House, clad in a plain frock with a scarf in her hair, she appeared regal. Juxtapose any real-life image or account of the Queen with how she was depicted in American illustrations after the overthrow, however, and the most insidious character traits baked into the American genome are undeniable. One Judge magazine cover cast her as mentally impaired and or imbecilic, sitting on her throne atop a group of American Marines holding her up with bayonets. Another grotesque illustration shows her as a black-faced pickaninny, feather-covered, murderous cannibal prostitute. Then there's the cartoon of her trying to pawn her crown, featuring her in a mutated form of what is intended to code as the ugliest of all portrayals of a black woman, with crazed hair, claw-like hands, and exaggerated lips. The monstrous expressions visited upon Liliuokalani's likeness hit on as many racist and misogynist tropes as those artists could squeeze onto the page. I'm having a panic attack. I'm having an actual PTSD reaction to reading this to you. It's very painful. In the era of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, spurred on by a sexist, bigoted president, none can feign surprise at how the first woman of color to head a nation state was viewed in American media. But delineating how white supremacy informed the overthrow is one thing. Explaining that it still plays a fundamental role in the ongoing suppression of Hawaiian rights is something else, especially when Hawaiian suffering is by design invisible. Also, many Americans resent being held accountable for dirty deeds done long lifetimes ago. I think, too, the descendants of the missionaries, they're still doing their dirty deeds. And all you missionary descendants out there, you're guilty because you're on stolen lands that don't belong to you. It's just my, addition to this. Many Americans resent being held accountable for dirty deeds done lifetimes ago. Thomas Jefferson, father of the nation by day and hypocrite by night, is the model for how Americans can go on indefinitely dominating peoples and places for profit and not miss a wink of sleep. He called slavery moral depravity, but owned more than 600 humans during his life. The OG wizard of white supremacist doublespeak, he was skilled at acknowledging the breach of conscience while rationalizing slavery's necessity. He said, "But as it is, we have the wolf by the ear, and we can neither hold him nor safely let him go. Justice is one scale and self-preservation in the other." Justice is in one scale and self-preservation is in the other. I gotta read that again. Rationalizing slavery's necessity. He said, quote, "But as it is, we have the wolf by the ear, and we can neither hold him nor safely let him go. Justice is in one scale and self-preservation is in the other," end quote. Jefferson invented the dumbwaiter, the swivel chair, the macaroni machine, and he normalized American pathology of merging duplicitous morality with profit and patriotism. Still going on today. The inheritors of the social, political, and economic spoils of that history are the masters who, for anyone on the receiving end of their privilege taking, are the secondary perpetrators. For example, if you tell an average American that their way of life is founded on the murder of Native Americans and their generational poverty on reservations, usually they respond with something like, quote, "What are we supposed to do? Give everything back to them?" End quote. Any line of thinking that leans ever so slightly towards justice is pushed aside as too inconvenient to ponder. Even Americans who consider themselves liberal or progressive typically prefer silent complicity over taking a political position that might diminish their personal, economic, and social power. In place of material steps toward justice, celebrities and academics alike perform a ritual land acknowledgement wherein they mention the original people of the land on which they stand and conduct their business, as if acknowledging the theft disassociates them somehow from using the stolen property or benefits the people it belongs to. Sorry, I have a dog farm here. I rescue dogs. However, the Hawaiian experience is about the theft of nationality. Yes, our slow motion demise is carried out via the continual theft of our land and culture, but additionally, what the U.S. has been doing since 1893 is block us from exercising our legal rights to nationhood. Most Americans are blissfully unaware of the history here in Hawaii, and to them, not knowing or ignorance translates as innocence. While the American narrative is cleansed anew with every plane or cruise ship that unloads on our shores, our story is so marginalized that it seems irreverent or inferior, even to ourselves. Generationally conditioned into conformity and politeness, we don't notice or care when fake Hawaiians portray us in movies, TV shows, or TED Talks. We've been programmed to believe that other people are more important. What's happening in other places like Ukraine or Palestine or any war zone is a priority. Those acts of ethnocide are legit, but not us being erased in our homeland. As if Hawaiian blood would have to pour out onto the Aina, the land, for us to matter. Americans and other foreigners come here on vacation or watch Hawaii Five-0 and Lost and anything else Hollywood produces for their entertainment, and all they see is fake beauty, not the industrialized misery it covers up. America's Hawaii is a paradise of lies hiding in plain sight. Even Waikiki Beach, possibly the most famous beach on earth, is a lie. The state buys sand from places as far off as the Philippines because it gets washed away, which happens because real estate developments demolish the natural shoreline. And that's just one of the thousands of lies about Hawaii. An actual paradise is destroyed daily for the most unsustainable industry ever devised in one of the most delicate ecosystems in the world. And all the state can do is recommit to its Jeffersonian pact with the devil and maintain the lie. Then again, only poisoned fruit can grow on a poisoned tree. Said another way, the so-called state itself is a lie. The hideous anatomy of white American supremacy, as visited upon Kanaka Maoli, Native Indigenous Americans, is easily revealed by explaining any formative falsehood about this place. And if you pull hard enough on one of those loose threads from the overthrow, eventually the U.S. Declaration of Ownership of Hawaii falls apart. Tomorrow we're going to get into President Cleveland's so-called apology of 1993. This book is called Our Rights to Self-Determination, a Hawaiian Manifesto by Ann Keala Kelly. I'll put all the contact information in the information below. Please like, share, and subscribe this video. I gotta tell you, I'm having a fucked up panic attack right now. Excuse my language, but I have been diagnosed with severe PTSD based on not only generations of trauma that I was born with, but the ongoing trauma of living my life in thousands upon thousands upon thousands of lies in the most beautiful place in the world, my homeland, Hawaii. Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Love you much. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Aloha.